A gay masseur was forced to give a happy ending in exchange for $100,000. But what happened next changed everything. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss another gripping and emotional story like this one. He was just a professional, a skilled masseur, discreet and dedicated. He had built his reputation on respect and boundaries, never crossing the line with any client, no matter how much money was involved. But then he met him, a powerful billionaire, a man who got everything he wanted, and this time, what he wanted was him. One offer, $100,000 for a single night. It was supposed to be just a transaction, a moment of weakness, a temptation too big to resist. But what happened after was nothing he could have ever expected. Because this client wasn't just offering money, he was hiding a secret that would change both of their lives forever. The sound of soft music filled the dimly lit room, blending with the faint scent of eucalyptus and expensive sandalwood oils. I worked in one of the most exclusive spas in Miami, the kind where only the ultra-wealthy came to relax, detox, and indulge. Celebrities, CEOs, men who controlled entire industries. And tonight, I was alone with him, Gabriel Devereaux. The name alone carried power. He wasn't just rich. He was untouchable, a billionaire with more influence than some governments, and he was lying on my table. I had been massaging him for 6 months now. Every week, same time, same routine. He barely spoke except to give quiet, clipped instructions. But tonight, something was different. I could feel it in the way his body was tense beneath my hands, the way his breathing was just slightly unsteady. As I kneaded my fingers into his shoulders, he finally spoke. "You're good at what you do." I hesitated. Gabriel wasn't the type to hand out compliments. "Thank you, sir." A low hum, then silence, until he shifted slightly, tilting his head toward me. His eyes locked onto mine. "You ever break the rules?" I froze. Every instinct told me to choose my next words carefully. "This is a professional service," I said evenly. A slow smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. "That's not what I asked." My throat went dry. I had heard rumors about him. How he always got what he wanted. How he had ruined people for saying no. And yet, I had never once seen him cross a line with me. Until now. "Gabriel, $100,000? I blinked. "Excuse me?" His voice was smooth as silk, sharp as a knife. $100,000, he repeated. "One night. No strings." My heart slammed against my ribs. This wasn't happening. "That's a lot of money." My voice barely held steady. "Yes, it is," he murmured, eyes never leaving mine. "And I don't make offers twice." The air in the room shifted. I should have laughed. I should have been offended. But instead, I felt something worse. Temptation. My salary barely covered my rent. My bank account was a joke. I could change my life with one word. But at what cost? I swallowed. Why me? Gabriel leaned back on the table, his smirk deepening. "Because you're the only one who's never tried to impress me." Silence. The air felt thick, charged with something I didn't want to name. I needed to say no. I needed to walk away. But instead, I whispered, "What happens after?" Gabriel's expression darkened slightly, as if he knew something I didn't. "You'll find out." And in that moment, I knew. This wasn't just about money. It was something much, much bigger. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the ambient music. But inside my head, everything was chaos. Gabriel Devereaux's words lingered in the air like smoke, curling around me, thick, intoxicating, impossible to ignore. $100,000. One night. No strings. I should have walked away. I should have laughed. But instead, I just stood there, frozen. I had spent my entire career in control, setting boundaries, keeping things professional. No matter how rich or powerful my clients were, I never crossed the line. And yet, this wasn't just any client. Gabriel wasn't a man who made random offers. He was calculated, precise. So why me? "You're thinking about it," he murmured, his voice smooth, knowing. I swallowed hard. "I'm thinking about why you'd offer that kind of money." Gabriel tilted his head slightly, his gaze sharp. "Does the reason matter?" I hesitated. It did. It mattered more than anything, because this wasn't just an obscene amount of money for something he could get anywhere. This was specific. He wanted me, and I needed to know why. I exhaled slowly. "If I say yes, what exactly are you expecting?" Gabriel's lips curled slightly, not quite a smile. "Are you negotiating?" I stiffened. "I need to know what I'm agreeing to." His blue eyes darkened with something I couldn't quite read. Satisfaction, amusement, possession. "Simple," he said. "You spend the night with me. No contracts, no small print. You leave with $100,000 in your account. And if you want, we never speak again." I clenched my fists at my sides. It sounded clean, transactional, but nothing about Gabriel Devereaux was ever simple. "You don't even know me," I said. "I know enough," he countered smoothly. "I know you've worked in this spa for 4 years. I know you turned down more advances than anyone else on staff. I know you live in a 1-bedroom apartment in a part of Miami that's gentrifying too fast for your salary to keep up." I tensed. How the hell did he know all that? He leaned back against the massage table, completely at ease. "And most importantly," he added, "I know you're tempted." My breath caught. Because he was right. The money. The insane amount of money. I could pay off my debts, move into a decent place, breathe for once, but beneath the temptation, there was something else. Something more dangerous. Gabriel. The way he watched me. The way his voice slid under my skin like silk and steel. He wasn't offering just money. He was offering power. And I didn't know if I could handle it. I forced myself to meet his gaze. "And if I say no?" Gabriel's expression didn't change. "Then you say no." I blinked. That's it? No pressure, no threats, just a choice. He pushed off the table and stepped past me toward the door, his scent, something dark, expensive, and utterly consuming, lingering in the air. "Think about it," he said simply. Then, just before he disappeared through the doorway, he added, "But don't take too long." And just like that, he was gone, leaving me alone with a decision I wasn't ready to make. The air in the massage room felt heavier after Gabriel left, as if his presence still lingered. His words played on repeat in my mind. $100,000. One night. No strings. It should have been an easy no. I wasn't that kind of person. But then I thought about my bank account. The constant struggle to stay afloat. The bills stacking up. The dream of something more that always felt out of reach. One night. One decision. That's all it would take to change everything. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, my pulse pounding, before finally exhaling sharply. I needed air. Grabbing my jacket, I left through the back entrance of the spa. The Miami night was thick with humidity. the scent of salt water and distant car exhaust hanging in the air. The streets were alive, tourists laughing, music spilling from rooftop bars, the sound of waves crashing in the distance. But I didn't hear any of it. I was too busy battling myself. Gabriel's offer was dangerous, not just because of the money, but because of him. He wasn't the type of man who simply offered something without reason. He always had a plan, and I had no idea where I fit into it. Lost in thought, I didn't notice the car until it pulled up beside me. A sleek, black Rolls-Royce. The tinted window rolled down, and there he was. Gabriel. I froze. My heart slammed against my ribs. He was still in his suit from earlier, his tie loosened just enough to seem effortless. His eyes, sharp under the dim glow of the streetlights, locked onto mine. "Get in," he said. I swallowed hard. "Gabriel." "No pressure." He cut me off. "Just a drive." A drive? That's how it would start. I should have walked away. I should have said no. But instead, I opened the door and got in. The interior of the car smelled like leather and power. Smooth jazz played softly in the background as the city blurred past the tinted windows. I could feel the heat of his gaze on me. "Still thinking?" he asked, his voice calm, measured. I turned toward him. "Why me?" Gabriel exhaled, tilting his head slightly. "That's the real question, isn't it?" I waited. Finally, he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Because you're different," he said. I frowned. "That's vague." He smirked. "It's true." Silence stretched between us, thick with something I couldn't define. "You still haven't said yes," he pointed out. "I haven't said no either," I admitted. His smirk deepened. "That's what I like about you." Something about the way he said it made my breath hitch. We pulled up to a hotel. Not just any hotel. The most expensive one in Miami. Gabriel stepped out first, then turned back to me. A challenge flickered in his gaze. "Last chance," he said. The night air wrapped around me, warm and electric. One step forward, and my life would change forever. And then I moved. I followed him inside. I had made my decision. The moment I stepped into the hotel, I knew there was no turning back. Everything about the place screamed exclusivity. The marble floors gleamed under the soft glow of golden chandeliers. A live pianist played in the corner of the lobby, and every guest that walked past was dressed in tailored suits or designer dresses, dripping in quiet wealth. And then there was me. I wasn't poorly dressed, but I might as well have been. I didn't belong here. Yet, as Gabriel walked beside me, exuding power in his perfectly tailored suit, no one questioned my presence. He made sure of it. The concierge greeted him with a respectful nod, immediately handing over a keycard. No ID check, no paperwork, just complete discretion. Of course, Gabriel's world operated on different rules. "Penthouse," he murmured, nodding toward the private elevator. My stomach tightened. This was real. This was happening. I had agreed. One night, $100,000, no strings. So why did it feel like something far more dangerous was about to unfold? The penthouse was nothing short of breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, offering a view of Miami bathed in moonlight. A private infinity pool stretched across the balcony, reflecting the stars. Luxury at its finest. Gabriel loosened his tie and set his jacket over the back of a chair. I stood near the entrance, unsure of what to do next. He turned to face me, his piercing blue eyes unreadable. "Nervous?" I scoffed. "Should I be?" A slow smirk curled his lips. He liked that I wasn't intimidated. He stepped closer. You tell me. I held my ground, but my pulse was racing. There was a shift in the air. This wasn't about money anymore. It wasn't even about desire. Gabriel was testing me, seeing how far I'd let this go. I swallowed hard. Let's just get this over with. Something flickered in his gaze. Surprise? Amusement? Annoyance? Over with? He repeated, tilting his head slightly. Is that what you think this is? I clenched my jaw. That's what you said, isn't it? One night. No strings. Gabriel studied me for a long moment, then exhaled, rubbing his jaw. You really don't get it, do you? Now I was the one frowning. Get what? His smirk disappeared. You weren't my first choice. The words hit harder than I expected. I shouldn't have cared. This was a business transaction, nothing more. But still, why say that? You're different, he continued. I knew that the moment I met you, but I needed to be sure. A cold sensation trickled down my spine. Something about his tone had changed. This wasn't about attraction. This was something else entirely. You think this is just about sex? Gabriel took another step forward, his voice lower now, darker. You're smarter than that. The room felt too quiet. I tried to steady my breath. Then what is it about? A beat of silence. Then, you. My stomach dropped. Something was very, very wrong. This wasn't just about a night together. This had never been about just a night together. Gabriel had planned this, planned me, and I had just walked into something I didn't understand. Gabriel's words hung between us like a loaded gun. You think this is just about sex? You're smarter than that. This is about you. My skin prickled, an uneasy chill sliding down my spine. I had stepped into this thinking it was a simple transaction. One night, no strings, but now I wasn't so sure. I forced my voice to stay steady. What the hell does that mean? Gabriel studied me, his gaze cool, calculated. He wasn't just toying with me, he was gauging my reaction. I hated that I had given him one. Sit, he said, gesturing to the sleek leather chair across from the glass coffee table. I hesitated. I think I should go. His smirk deepened, but there was something behind it this time, something unsettling. You can leave whenever you want, he said easily, but I have a feeling you won't. My pulse pounded. This wasn't about seduction. This was something bigger. I didn't sit, but I didn't walk out either. Gabriel exhaled, running a hand through his dark hair. You're good at what you do, he said. I've been watching you for a while. That sent a jolt through me. Watching me? I repeated slowly. Gabriel's eyes flicked to mine, sharp and unbothered. You think I hand over $100,000 without knowing who I'm dealing with? My throat went dry. I was standing in a penthouse with a man who had enough money to make people disappear, and I had just accepted his offer. I don't like games, I said, forcing steel into my voice. Good, Gabriel murmured, stepping closer. Then let's stop pretending. The air shifted. I felt it in my bones. This was it. The moment when everything changed. I know who you are, he said. My stomach twisted. What? Gabriel tilted his head slightly, as if studying me. You're not just a masseur. His voice was too calm, too certain. I felt cold. You're the son of Vincent Moreno. The words hit me like a wrecking ball. Blood roared in my ears. No one knew that. No one. Vincent Moreno had been one of the most powerful and dangerous businessmen in Miami, until he vanished without a trace 10 years ago. and I had spent every second since then trying to erase that name. Gabriel's voice lowered. He left you, didn't he? I couldn't breathe. You changed your name, started over. You wanted nothing to do with his empire. My hands clenched into fists. Shut up. Gabriel smirked. That's why you're still struggling, because you refuse to take what was always yours. I turned to leave. Gabriel's voice cut through the room. If you walk out that door, you'll never know the truth about your father. I stopped. My heart pounded against my ribs. Gabriel stepped closer, his presence impossible to ignore. You think I chose you by accident? He murmured. Your father and I have unfinished business. I turned, my breath shaking. My father is dead. Gabriel held my gaze. And then, with a slow, knowing smirk, he said the words that shattered my entire world. Are you sure? I felt the room tilt. Are you sure? The words ripped through me like a bullet. Gabriel wasn't lying. I could see it in his face. He knew something that could destroy everything I thought I knew. My father is dead, I repeated, but my voice didn't sound certain anymore. Gabriel's lips curled slightly. That's what you were told. I swallowed hard. My head was spinning. This wasn't about $100,000. It was never about the offer. Gabriel had planned this, planned me, and now I was trapped. You have two choices, Gabriel murmured, stepping closer. Walk away and live in ignorance, or stay and learn the truth. I couldn't move, because deep down, I already knew my answer.